let's unpack this. Welcome to this deep dive.
Sure.
Today, we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of Apple's latest flagships. The iPhone 16 Pro and the Pro Max.
Yep.
We've pulled together a whole bunch of sources for you. You know, CNET, Tom's Guide reviews, Tech Radar comparisons, Phone Arena on displays, even dug into Reddit chats.
Right. User experiences, too.
Exactly. The goal here is, well, to cut through all the noise and give you a really clear picture of what these new iPhones actually bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking beyond just the specs, aren't we? Trying to answer that key question. Is this iPhone 16 Pro actually a compelling upgrade for you?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just as importantly, how does it really stack up against the big Android players like the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL or the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with something that really got the CNET reviewer excited. The 4K 120 frames per second slow motion video.
Oh, yeah.
They actually called it the best new iPhone feature in years.
Yeah.
That's quite a claim. What's the big deal?
Well, what's really interesting, I think, is how they've integrated it. It's not some, hidden pro mode.
Right.
It's right there in the main camera app. We're talking super smooth 4K video at 120 FPS. CNET pointed out, unlike maybe some older phones trying this, they mentioned the Sony Xperia 56 specifically.
Oh.
Apple's made it really easy to use. It's just available.
And the quality itself. This sounds like a real jump. The review mentioned better detail, wider dynamic range, so better brights and darks together.
Mm-hmm. More accurate colors, too.
Yeah, and more accurate colors compared to the older iPhone slow-mo. They even gave this example of filming a lion dance practice in, medium lighting.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the slow-mo apparently showed all this grace and power you'd just miss otherwise. Really shows the impact, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's not just a number on a spec sheet, right?
Ha.
It actually changes how you can capture things, even when the light isn't perfect.
Okay, now, the other huge buzzword, Apple Intelligence. CNET was clear this was still beta when they tested it.
Right, early days.
So what's the promise there, and I guess what were the limitations they ran into?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, Apple Intelligence is obviously meant to be a key selling point.
Sure.
The beta showed off some neat AI writing tools, proofreading, changing the tone. The CNET reviewer actually had a funny moment with the professional style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it turned a simple request about cat sitting into something super formal and kind of hilarious.
Huh. I can just imagine. Pertaining to the feline in question. Something like that.
Exactly. But beyond the jokes, were there actually useful things?
Yeah, that's the question. Practical stuff.
Definitely. The summarize tool in Safari got a good mention. A real time saver for, getting the main points of news articles quickly.
Okay, that sounds useful.
And the create a memory movie thing in photos sounds fun,
Yeah.
too. Type San Francisco brunch, and it just whips up a video with music. Effortless.
And what about that cleanup tool? Removing stuff from photos. That sounds like magic. Or potential disaster.
Well, this kind of raises a question about where on-device AI is right now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
CNET's experience was a bit of a mixed bag.
How so?
Removing a chair or a monitor worked pretty well, apparently. But then they tried to remove a van.
Uh-oh.
And it left behind this surreal Salvador Dali-like bike wheel blob.
Mm-hmm.
Their words.
Oh, wow. Okay. So powerful, but maybe not always predictable yet.
Exactly. The potential's there,
Yeah.
but it's not quite perfect.
And Siri. AI assistants are huge now. Any big leaps for Siri?
The reviewer said Siri felt, faster, more natural. You could even interrupt it, apparently.
Oh, that's good.
But it still seemed to stumble compared to Google's Gemini Live on some basic things, like asking for the phone serial number or storage space.
Really? It couldn't answer that?
Nope. Just couldn't do it. So, yeah, progress, but maybe not the fully realized AI some people are waiting for. Still feels like it's evolving.
Given those mixed reports, then, what do you think is the biggest hurdle for Apple to make this AI truly compelling?
That's a really good question. Maybe it's that balance, balancing the privacy of on-device stuff with the just sheer knowledge that cloud AI has access to.
Yeah, could be. Okay, let's switch gears. New hardware, the camera control button. Where is this thing and what's it do?
Okay, yeah, this is interesting. It's located just under the power button. Sits flush with the side.
Wait.
CNET's reviewer described the little menu that pops up. You double tap lightly as gorgeous and even like the feel of it, the tactile feedback.
Okay, so it feels good. What does it actually do?
Functionally, it gives you quick access to zoom control, like a little trackpad. You can tweak the background blur in portrait shots, the aperture effect.
Oh, okay.
And you can swipe through those photographic styles, Apple's built-in color profiles.
Huh.
Kind of like filters, but applied right when you take the shot.
Sounds pretty handy for quick tweaks. And Apple
Yeah.
has more plans for it.
Yeah, they've said they want to add more, like a half press to lock focus and exposure.
Oh, like a real camera shutter?
Exactly. And then a full press to
Yeah.
actually take the picture, mimicking that two-stage feel.
But CNET flagged a potential downside with where it's placed.
Yeah, the positioning.
Yeah.
If you're shooting horizontally, one-handed, especially if you're right-handed,
Mm-hmm.
your index finger might just naturally rest right there for grip. So you could end up accidentally triggering it.
Ah, I see. Awkward, potentially.
And it's worth remembering that whole visual intelligence integration they talked about, where it gives you info based on what the camera sees. That's not even live yet.
Okay, so promising button. Maybe a slight ergonomic question mark. Let's talk core camera stuff.
Yeah.
Still photos. General impressions.
Yeah, the overall take is pretty much outstanding photo and video quality. Big change this year.
Yeah.
The Pro and Pro Max have the same cameras.
Oh, and like the 15 series.
Exactly. The main camera, excellent. Wide dynamic range, great skin tones. CNET had a group shot example that looked really good.
And the other lenses, ultra-wide, telephoto.
The ultra-wide seems improved, especially for macro, like really close-up shots.
Ah, cool.
The review mentioned getting great detail on, like the fur of a lion dance mask or textures in food shots or cortado and scone, I think. Shows it can capture fine detail up close now.
Nice.
Night mode performance also got praise. And those photographic styles, they've been refined, apparently drawing comparisons to Fujifilm's film simulations, which is high praise in photography circles. Gives
Yeah.
users more creative looks.
Now, this audio mix feature for video, that sounds potentially huge. How does that work?
Yeah, this sounds like a real standout, especially if you shoot video often.
Yeah.
It basically lets you tweak the audio after you've recorded.
Oh, so.
It can isolate voices, cut down background noise, basically make your subject sound like they had a proper mic, even if they didn't.
Right.
CNET gave this really compelling example. A musician, Jessica Fierro, playing guitar and singing on a noisy rooftop.
Okay.
An audio mix apparently just cleaned it right up. Minimized the city noise, the HVAC hum, even wind. That sounds incredibly useful if you're filming anywhere that isn't, a quiet studio.
That really does sound like a game changer for casual video. Okay, let's shift to the physical stuff. Design, display, any big changes or insights?
Visually, the borders around the screen, the bezels, they're thinner. It's subtle, but you'd probably notice.
Okay.
Storage-wise, the base model still kicks off at 128 gigs for the entry price. CNET wasn't too thrilled about that, saw it as a negative.
Right, still feels a bit low for a Pro phone maybe. How does it compare size-wise to rivals?
Looking at OTTO's comparison, the 16 Pro models are pretty similar in size to the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S25 Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
The iPhone's a tiny bit heavier than the Samsung, but noticeably heavier than the Pixel.
Mm-hmm.
Materials, Apple and Samsung are using titanium frames. Pixel's got polished aluminum, all glass backs.
Got it. And the screens themselves, any major tech differences?
All three are using beautiful OLED panels, variable refresh rates up to 120 hertz, for that smooth scrolling.
Standard high-end stuff now.
Pretty much. Yeah. Samsung and Pixel technically have slightly higher pixel density, more pixels per inch, but honestly, you probably wouldn't notice the difference with the naked eye.
Okay. What about brightness? That can matter outdoors.
Yeah, there are differences there. iPhone hits 2000 nits peak brightness, which is really bright, but Samsung goes up to 2600 nits, and the Pixel actually hits 3000.
Whoa, 3,000 nits. So Pixel and Samsung might have a slight edge in really intense sun?
Could be, yeah.
Oh.
A marginal advantage, perhaps. 2000 nits is still very usable outdoors, though.
Okay. Battery life. Always crucial. What's the word on the iPhone 16 Pro?
Well, CNET just gave it a kind of general good battery life.
Vague.
Yeah, but then you dive into Reddit, the user discussions, it gets more varied. One user, Slodden, said the battery is, quoting here, small, usable, but it does suck.
Ouch.
Even for light users, suggesting you pretty much have to charge it daily. So yeah, battery life seems like a real point of debate. Why do you think we see that difference between reviews and users sometimes?
That's a good question. Maybe review units get tested differently. Not loaded up with all your personal apps running background stuff constantly. Everyday use is just messier.
Could be. More variables in the real world.
Launches are never perfect. Any reports of bugs or glitches? Software issues?
Unfortunately, yeah. Seems like iOS 18, at least during that review window, was a bit buggy for some folks, based on Reddit chatter.
Like what kind of things?
A range, really. People mention keyboard lag or weirdness, apps just crashing, sometimes the touchscreen freezing up. Bluetooth connection problems, even noticeable battery drain for some.
Hmm.
Now, it's important to say software updates happen all the time, right? People were hoping later updates like 18.2.1 or the 18.3 beta might fix some of that early stuff.
Okay, but were there specific, like, recurring complaints?
Yeah, a few themes popped up. Some people mentioned volume levels being weird when typing, the keyboard feeling less smooth than Google's Gboard, causing more typos.
Ah, the keyboard wars continue.
Yeah. Trouble renaming files if they were missing extensions. Some people saw the camera app launching to just a black screen.
Not ideal.
No. Others mentioned slow Siri in CarPlay, the Photos app crashing with that new cleanup tool. Some reports of blurry zoom, though, that could be user-specific delayed notifications.
Okay, quite a list.
Yeah, and even just subjective things like wonky picture quality. Ooh, and a weird one. Some users couldn't change their wallpaper using the long press method without doing a full phone reset.
Wow, that's bizarre.
And there was one report of phone just shutting down in extreme cold.
Okay, so definitely sounds like some teething issues there for a premium phone. But it
Yeah.
wasn't all bad, right? Were people also happy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to keep perspective. Lots of users on Reddit were saying they had a great experience overall, especially people upgrading from much older iPhones, like an iPhone X. For them, it felt like a massive positive leap.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, let's get to the head-to-head stuff. iPhone 16 Pro versus the rivals Pixel 9 Pro XL, Galaxy S25 Ultra. How do the cameras compare?
Always the big question. Tech Gear Talk did a comparison.
Yeah.
They found the iPhone tended to give the most contrast in ultra-wide shots.
Okay.
Samsung S25 Ultra leaned more towards saturated blues. Samsung also seemed a bit sharper at 5x zoom.
Interesting. What about close-ups, macro?
There, the Samsung and iPhone could focus the closest. For slow-mo, all were good, but the reviewer slightly preferred the iPhone's look.
And selfies, video.
Selfie video, iPhone apparently had the best dynamic range. Portrait video, that blurry background effect 1 Plus, actually got a nod for best edge detection, separating the person from the background, but the iPhone handled bright highlights better.
So swings and roundabouts.
Pretty much. OTO just said, look, they're all excellent camera systems, similar optical zoom around 5x, but digital zoom varies wildly. Samsung goes way further, like 100x versus iPhone's 25x and Google's 30x.
Right. And what about general user consensus, like on Reddit?
The general vibe seemed to be Pixel often preferred for stills, iPhone for video, Samsung seen as a strong all-rounder.
Okay, what about AI? How do the competitors stack up there?
Well, OTTO highlighted AI is a huge focus for everyone. Samsung has things like Now Brief, Gemini integration. Google, obviously, leans heavily on Gemini for its assistant. Image editing, moving stuff, removing things, changing scenes.
Right. Google's AI is pretty mature.
Yeah. And Apple, with Apple Intelligence, is really pushing that on-device processing angle for privacy. Tom's guide mentioned some specific Samsung features, like Gemini helping with actions across different apps, AI Select giving suggestions, Circle to search, recognizing more things like emails or even sounds now.
Sounds powerful. And user perception.
A lot of Reddit comments suggested people feel Google's AI assistant is just miles ahead of Siri right now. Given what we said earlier about Apple Intelligence being beta, what do you see as Apple's biggest challenge here against Google and Samsung's AI push?
Maybe it's convincing people that the on-device approach offers enough benefits to make up for maybe not having the absolute cutting-edge cloud features immediately.
Yeah.
That privacy versus capability trade-off.
Yeah, that could be it. Okay, performance, raw speed, benchmarks.
How do they stack up?
Tom's guide benchmarks showed the iPhone 16 Pro Max leading in Geekbench single-core tests. The Pixel 9 Pro XL seemed to lag a bit in the tests they showed.
Okay.
One Reddit user posted their own tests, too, showing the iPhone significantly ahead in single-core, multi-core, Antutu graphics. Pretty much across the board.
So iPhone wins on paper.
Seems like it. But, importantly, another Redditor, Sleazy, made a great point. Benchmarks aren't everything.
True.
Real-world experience matters more. They argue the Pixel is still plenty fast and smooth for most people's everyday use.
Right. And people seem happy with the Pixel.
Yeah, another user, Katamlin the Unknown Scene, said they were absolutely thrilled with the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And a phone reviewer on Reddit said they can't find anything wrong with the Pixel 9 Pro, loving the camera and speed. So yeah, iPhone might have the edge in benchmarks, but the real-world feel might be closer for many tasks.
Okay, battery life comparisons. Always a big one. Who's winning there?
Tom's guide testing actually put the OnePlus 13 at the top for battery life overall.
Oh, interesting. Not Samsung or Google.
Nope, OnePlus in their tests. The Redditor who did the benchmarks found the iPhone lasted longer than the Pixel in specific tests like web browsing and video watching and standby time.
Okay.
And another source, Best Phone 2025, also picked the OnePlus 13 for best battery endurance.
So OnePlus is the dark horse for battery, it seems. Any other interesting features setting these phones apart?
Well, Tom's Guide noted the S Pen stylus with the Galaxy S25 Ultra doesn't have Bluetooth anymore. And you need a specific case for Q2 wireless charging on the Samsung.
Okay. Little details.
A Reddit user highlighted a neat Pixel feature using the selfie camera for secure authentication in banking apps. High-level security there.
That's quite cool.
And of course, if you're already deep in the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, the integration factor.
Yeah, exactly. That seamlessness can be a huge reason to just stick with iPhone.
Oh, and circling back to that OnePlus 13, Best Phone 2025 mentioned its IP69 water resistance rating. Apparently, super high resistance.
IP69, wow. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here. Let's try and boil this down. Key takeaways for you listening. Yes, summarizing. The iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max,
Right.
they definitely offer some cool steps forward. That slow motion video looks genuinely impressive. Apple Intelligence has huge potential, even if it's, still developing.
Right.
The camera system overall is top-notch, really versatile, but you do have those early user reports about potential software bugs maybe being a bit of a thing, at least initially.
So when you're trying to decide between the iPhone 16 Pro and these Android heavyweights, what's the bottom line?
It really does come down to your priorities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What do you care about most in a camera? Is it stills? Is it video features like that slow-mo? How critical is AI right now? And do you prefer Apple's privacy focus or the cloud power of Google and Samsung?
Ecosystem lock-in, too.
Big time. And especially near launch, how much patience do you have for potential software wrinkles?
Right. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. We see smartphone hardware getting more and more similar, right? Specs are converging. Is the real battleground shifting entirely to software, to AI experiences?
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. And is Apple's bet on doing more processing on the phone the winning move for privacy and speed? Or will it limit them as cloud AI just keeps getting smarter, faster? Something to think about what matters most to you in that next phone. Camera.ai, ecosystem, stability. Lots to consider.